There is a city that was never meant to grow naturally. No rivers flow through it, no ancient trade routes pass nearby, no tribe or settlement ever stood there before. In fact, the land itself is hostile to human life. The ground is permanently frozen. The winter temperatures drop to 50 degrees below zero. And yet, at one point, 12,000 people lived here. Apartment buildings rose from the permafrost. Schools were filled with children. A cinema played the latest films. Restaurants served hot meals while the wind howled outside. It was a triumph of engineering and a monument to stubbornness. But just as deliberately as it was created, it was erased. This is the story of Kadikchen, the city built in the middle of nowhere, and why it failed. Welcome to the Lost World Project. To understand why Kadikchen exists, you first have to understand where it is. It sits in the Magadan Oblast, in the far east of Siberia. This is the Kolyma region. In history books, Kolyma is synonymous with one thing: the Gulag. During the Stalin era, this region was the heart of the Soviet prison camp system. The road that leads to the city is known as the Road of Bones. It was built by prisoners, and it is said that for every meter of road, a life was lost. But why here? Why force humans into this frozen hellscape? Because beneath the ice lay a treasure: coal. High-quality, energy-dense coal needed to power the Soviet machine. The world was raging. The Soviet Union was desperate for energy, and so Kadikchen was born, not out of hope, but out of necessity. At first, it was a camp, a place of barbed wire and watchtowers. But as the decades passed, the purpose of the city shifted. The prisoners left, the families arrived. The Soviet Union decided to turn this grim outpost into a model of civilization. They wanted to prove that Soviet engineering could conquer nature itself. They didn't just want a mine, they wanted a utopia in the ice. By the 1970s and 80s, Kadikchen had transformed. If you look at photos from this era, you don't see misery, you see life. The city had a population of over 12,000 people. It had a sports complex with an indoor swimming pool. It had a grand cinema. It had excellent schools. But the most seductive part of Kadikchen was the money. The Soviet government knew that no one would live in the middle of Siberia for free, so they made an offer many couldn't refuse. Wages here were double, sometimes triple what you could earn in Moscow. Shelves in Kadikchen were stocked with goods that were impossible to find elsewhere: fresh fruit, imported clothes, electronics. Life here was a golden cage. Residents lived in comfort, protected from the brutal elements by a massive central heating plant that burned the very coal they mined. As long as the coal came out of the ground, the heat stayed on. The city felt permanent. It felt invincible. Children born in Kadikchen knew no other world. To them, the endless white horizon wasn't a prison, it was home. But cities like this have a fatal flaw. Natural cities like London, New York, or Cairo have 1,000 reasons to exist. Kadikchen had only one. And in 1991, the world changed. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the economic logic of the empire collapsed with it. Suddenly, there was no central government to subsidize the high wages. There was no one to pay for the expensive shipments of food and fuel. The new Russia was capitalist, and in a capitalist system, Kadikchen didn't make sense. The coal here was deep and expensive to extract. Markets shifted. It became cheaper to buy energy elsewhere than to keep this frozen city alive. The decline started slowly. The shelves in the stores went empty. The triple wages stopped arriving on time. Sometimes they didn't arrive at all. People began to leave, but thousands stayed, hoping the good times would return. Then came the death blow. In November 1996, a massive explosion ripped through the mine. 6 men were killed. The shafts were filled with toxic gas. It was a tragedy, but for the government in Moscow, it was also an excuse. They didn't rebuild the mine. They closed it. Overnight, the city's single purpose vanished. Without the mine, there was no money for the power plant. And in Siberia, without power, you die. The abandonment of Kadakchan wasn't a peaceful migration, it was a chaotic evacuation. The government began to shut down the infrastructure to force people out. Central heating was turned off in stages. Imagine the panic. It is January, the temperature is minus 40 degrees, and the radiators go cold. Residents had to make impossible choices in a matter of hours. You cannot move a lifetime of furniture in a blizzard. You cannot take your library of books. You cannot take your car if there's no gas to put in it. So they left it all. Walk into an apartment in Kadakchan today, and you will see the remnants of that panic. Clothes still hang in wardrobes. Dishes sit in drying racks. In the garages, Ladas and Volgas sit rusting, their owners having fled on buses or trucks, carrying only what they could hold in their hands. To survive the final cold nights, some residents burned their furniture inside their apartments just to keep warm before the trucks arrived. By the early 2000s, the city was officially dead. A population of 12,000 had become zero. Today, Kadakchan is a time capsule. Because of the extreme cold, the decay is slow. The city is frozen in the late 1990s. In the school, textbooks still sit on desks, teaching the history of a country that no longer exists. In the cinema, the projector is silent. In the town square, a bust of Lenin still stares out at the road of bones, presiding over a kingdom of ghosts. It is a place of profound silence. The only sound is the wind whistling through the broken concrete panels of the apartment blocks. It is one of the largest ghost towns in the world, a modern Atlantis, not under the sea, but under the snow. Standing in these empty streets, it is hard not to feel small. Kadakchan serves as a brutal reminder. We build where it is convenient for power. We abandon when that convenience fades. Cities like this are not organic. They are temporary by design, even if the people living in them didn't realize it.
They are company towns, strategic outposts, and when the strategy changes, the map changes. Kadakchan was built to conquer nature, but in the end, the ice won. This was the city built in the middle of nowhere. And this is the Lost World Project. If you want to explore more forgotten cities, hidden infrastructure, and the remains of human ambition, make sure you're subscribed. Because all around us, there are places that once mattered deeply, and now matter to no one at all.